The first key of the Zohar is that all of the words of the Torah are really the name of God, or the names of God. And the question is, why do you have so many names? What's the purpose of all these names? This is one of the big chidushim, this is one of the big innovations of the Zohar, although there were other people who already talked about this idea, but only the Zohar put it together in its entirety, which is that all of the names are in communication with each other. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that God is dynamic. It's a process that's unfolding. It's not a static, unchanging, bland God. And even though there is a level of godliness in God's essence that is unchanging, but that's not the part that the Zohar is concerned with. The Zohar is not preoccupied with kind of what Maimonides calls the God that we can only describe via negativa, but what we can't say about it. That's nice for Maimonides, and in fact, some of the academics understand that the Zohar is a reaction to kind of, I don't want to use the word blandness, but the stoicism that God exhibits in the work of Maimonides and other medieval Jewish philosophers, in which God is this unchanging essence, and in a sense, everything is just a symbol that somehow will disassociate us from the real world, in a sense, to get closer to God, because God is removed and ultimately unchanging and uninvolved ultimately. Even if we say the Chiddush is that the unchanging God is somehow involved in creation through the miracles. But it's not, there's some deficiency in the philosopher's way, the Jewish philosopher's way of comprehending God. And the Zohar brings God into the forefront of everything in a way that makes God interactive. That makes God, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that Hashem, has now many facets of one being. It's not, God forbid, idolatry. However, there are many, every name of God represents an aspect, a manifestation of how God relates to creation. First within himself, and then within the context of creation. That's why in the Kabbalah and the Zohar and other works of Kabbalah in general, there's two general realms. There's the inner realm and the outer realm. The inner realm we usually refer to as the word of Atzilut, and the outer realm that we refer to as the world of Bria, or even below that, Yitzira and Asiyah. We group them together, because there's a dynamic process that happens within, just like Lahavdil, for example. If you look at a person, there's a dynamic process happening within your own being, even if you're sitting alone in a room with nobody else there. Well, mostly you're probably planning how to talk to somebody and what issues you have. But even if you're on a desert island and there's nobody else there, you're still thinking. So the philosophers would answer, but God doesn't have anybody else. And we're nothing compared to God. So therefore we're like non-existent in a way. And the answer is fine. So but there's nothing really to discuss about that essence. It's unknowable, it's undefinable, it's unchanging in its unknowability and its undefinability. It contains everything, and nothing can be said to be okay. So we can come up with a Shulchan Aruch of what God is and isn't in about a page or two. But can we make 1,000,000 pages out of it? Can we make it even beyond pages? No. That's where the Zohar comes in.
Thank you.
So the Zohar is the Chiddush of the Zohar. One of the big Chiddushim, one of the big innovations of the Zohar, is an interactive, dynamic God that before he even is involving us, communicating with humans, there's an interdivine communication. There's God talking to himself. So we'll reinterpret, for example, what the sages say, the rabbis say, that b'mi nimlach, who did God consult with when he, usually a person, even a powerful person who has a lot of ability to do what they want, they don't just act. They consult because they have to hear feedback. How's it going to play out? They bounce it off somebody. A king has a minister, an advisor, a cabinet. So the sages say, who did God consult with? B'nishmosein shel tzadikim, with the souls of the righteous. Well, there was nobody created yet. So who are these souls of the righteous? So we already have in Rabbinic Judaism this idea of an communication, a divine soul communication before creation. So some people say that means, since there were no created souls yet, he had a conversation with the soul that would be. Like, for example, there was a philosopher, one of the more famous philosophers about love. And he says, what is love between a man and a woman? The love is that a man sees, and I guess for the same way, the woman sees their child with that partner before they're even born. That's one level. That's one philosophical way of love. Why am I bringing that up? Because the child doesn't exist yet, but you're in communication, you're in relationship with your potential child because you're envisioning it. You're anticipating the possibility of it. So one interpretation is God is anticipating what it would be like to have the souls in the future, even though they don't yet exist, and he's having a conversation with them in potential, not in actuality. But let's take that a little bit deeper. And one of the key facets, David, I need you to sit across from me so I can look at your beautiful face. You could read the newspaper. You got it. You know, the truth is, there's no need for him to listen to me, because he's taping. I'd rather him listen to on the video and correct me then, or make me look better or something, like trim a little bit of the beard. He has to do something to my hair. It's like terror.
You can edit the tape.
I want him to give me a haircut. I don't want to take a haircut in real life, but I want David to Photoshop me in the video. I want it to look really nice in my airbrush.
What you're saying now lends light to the whole topic.
Really, I didn't know they were connected. I just thought I was diverged. I thought I was kind of like doing that thing that we do, the ADD thing, where we kind of just go off the topic. But you know that it's not like that. Please do.
What the Rabboni Shalom creates the Torah and Am Yisrael to be able to serve as a parabolic mirror of enhancement for HaKadosh Baruch Hu's intent and essence.
Okay, good. I don't have your level of vocabulary, so I know it was good, whatever you said. I'll have to trust that, because I didn't quite understand the idea. I think I got, but the words I didn't. But it was very impressive.
You said that metaphorically.
Rabbi, a soul is beyond time, so maybe that's kind of like, it doesn't matter. Once you decide that you're going to create a soul, it always existed.
Yeah. Yes, but no. A soul can be beyond time, but still has to be created. So here's what I want to suggest. What the Zohar is saying. Could you guys move up a little bit? It's like, we have like this big room, and everybody's like, let's sit in the back of the room. Let's make Naftali have to speak loud. No, Gabe. Move the chair up. Just move the chair. Pull it in here. I don't bite. I'm not going to hurt you. Just come all the way in. Gabe, come sit over here. No. You're crowding me. It's good cake, right?
Very good.
Okay, we're now going to make an advertisement for cake. So, what happens with getting back on track here? Getting back to God consulting with the souls of the righteous that may only exist in theory, the possibility of them existing. He's having a conversation with them. You see, one of the biggest things in human interaction is something what we call a child learns how to look at the face of the parent. It learns early on certain facial recognitions of what is approval, what is disapproval, what is joy, what is fear. And some of those things are learned. In addition, there are a lot of those things that are natural reflexes that are almost innate in us. They combine. But we learn to seek approval from authority, from those who have power to harm us or to benefit us. We learn early on these things, and as we grow older, we continue. We say we're free and we live in a free country and it's wonderful and that's all true, but and we wouldn't want to necessarily insult people with authority or even people without authority. We have to respect them. And then we want more than just kind of survival. We want to thrive. We want friendship. We want partnership. We want a mate. We want to be empowered in a relationship. We want to have a family. These are all things that we want. And in order to facilitate that happening, you have to have the awareness of the other person in mind. You have to cue in to the clues that they're giving you. Is what you're saying something that they're listening to? Or are you speaking too much? Maybe I am, maybe I'm not, but I have no choice. I'm compelled. So that idea of the feedback that you get from somebody else when you do something for them or you speak to them, in the Kabbalah they call it Mayan Nukvin. Mayan Nukvin means feminine waters. Why is it called feminine waters? It has a sexual connotation. It does?
Yeah, he says
It does. Why so? Because ultimately, in a relationship with a man and a woman, the female desire is associated with this idea of Mayan Nukvin. But Mayan Nukvin in Kabbalah, even though it could be in its extreme variation a sexual thing, it simply could mean any time where there's a giver and a receiver. The one receiving, the receiver could simply be receiving information. You're telling somebody a news story that you read in the New York Times earlier today. The person's reaction, the person's feedback, that's my nukvin. Now, as the relationship intensifies, that's just chit-chat, small talk. Oh, I read this story in the New